It's my pleasure to speak with you about our smart manufacturing cluster. This is something that we began in 2018. We have a very diverse industry base here in Ohio, made up of lots of automotive, aerospace, energy, chemicals, healthcare, metals, lots of metal fabrication that takes place here. And what we were seeing, since we have such a dominance of manufacturing, is the emergence of new technologies. And for us to be globally competitive, we felt it very important, if not critical, that we do things to help our companies, which we have over 7,700 manufacturers just in our little area of Northeast Ohio, that we work with them to advance technologies. So that's why we established two innovation clusters, one being the smart manufacturing cluster and the second being the additive manufacturing cluster, or 3D printing. And what we have uniquely provided the clusters are innovation roadmaps, whereby we bring a good number of companies together with academia, with incubators, investors, and with service providers to chart a course for how the region could be more effective at smart manufacturing or additive manufacturing than we are today. So we set our sights 5 and 10 years out as to where we want to go. And most importantly, we identify what's the size of the prize of getting to that position or place. How much is that going to be worth to our economy, as well as what steps need to be taken to succeed. So as I said, we have this significant base of industrial companies and capabilities in our region. The 7,700 manufacturing companies, $200 plus billion in output, and over 274,000 jobs. But we are also blessed with 16 Fortune 1000 manufacturing companies in the region. So I'm sure you've heard of many of these companies, whether they be Sherwin-Williams, Goodyear, Timken, Eaton, Parker Hannifin, Lincoln Electric, et cetera. And what's underneath the hood when you pull back the covers on our industry and manufacturing capabilities here, what you find is a lot of research strength, particularly in artificial intelligence, sensors, polymers, as Brian has outlined, advanced materials of all kinds, metals as well as ceramics, and new technologies like blockchain. So there's been, given there was a strong interest in the idea of technology adoption in this manufacturing environment, it was important for us to do something, because again, the pace of adoption varied so widely across all these various manufacturers. And so that's the role we as an economic development organization stepped in to provide. So one example of this innovation roadmap, as remember I was saying, it was important to identify what the size of the prize was. We came to understand that if there was a reasonable level of a new adoption of smart manufacturing, particularly industrial IoT, adding IoT to the factory floor, that there would be an increase in output to the degree that we as a region could pick up to $13 billion of new product development output by 2025, which is a fairly short period of time. Now, we did this in beginning in 2018, 2019. So call it 5 or 6 years. But I think it would be simple to say that we would welcome an additional $13 billion of economic output within our manufacturing community just by one, not simple, but straightforward effort around adding IoT capability to the factory floor. So that's why we, again, established a cluster, and we pulled, again, these companies, academia, service providers, others together to create the vision that we would accelerate the amount of adoption, and that we would improve our region's competitiveness around the implementation of Industry 4.0 technologies, which include, so many different things, IoT, additive manufacturing, et cetera. And what we do as a cluster is we help to connect the knowledge around smart manufacturing and bring the tools and the networks together to make it easier, reduce the resistance to these new technologies, find ways to help support financially where we could the adoption of these by these various manufacturers, and to focus in on not just how to apply IoT, but also look at new product development, et cetera, that would be associated with these technologies, and then to deliver the talent necessary to take on the kinds of roles that these new technologies require. So what's in it for us as a region? Well, when you look at just those top 20 manufacturers in our region that are located, headquartered here, we looked at where their factories were, and they're everywhere in so many different countries. So when we, are successful with Sherwin-Williams or with Goodyear in their adoption of some of these technologies, we know that that's going to apply to their entire operation, wherever their factories are. So we think that's good, because those companies now are more successful globally, and we have helped solidify the strength of that company here in the region at the headquarter level and at the research level in a way that just helps them be competitive and helps our economy remain strong. Another way to think about it is there are companies here that are not headquartered. They're headquartered elsewhere. They may be headquartered in France or in Germany, but we have relationships with the operations that are here in the region. And when we think about, well, how would we benefit that, if we can start here with that company on some of the adoption of those technologies and capabilities and help build the talent pool, that can spread to all of their operations across the globe. So there's a real catalytic value to the efforts. And when we show these two pictures to our companies, I think a light bulb goes off in terms of, oh yeah, there's a real value here to getting involved in your smart manufacturing cluster or your additive manufacturing cluster. So this is just an example, a sampling of cluster participants. It's not a fully exhaustive list, but you can see all different kinds of companies here. And so what's kind of neat, this is not an industry cluster. This is a technology cluster. So we think across industries. So we have companies here that are from automotive. We have companies here that are from food and packaging, consumer goods, aerospace companies. We also have service providers. We also have colleges and universities, all meeting together around building knowledge, creating networks, sharing best practices. We prepared a readiness assessment for any company who wants to take it, and they can understand where they are on the smart manufacturing growth curve, right? Are they at the beginning? Are they, in the middle, or are they advanced? And we also have assembled use cases that we make openly available to anybody that wants to view them. I would encourage you, and Cedric, if you could share this following this session, because I know I have a couple more minutes. Our website is smartmanufacturingcluster.org. It's not too hard. And the benefit of this not only has been to unite the region around the opportunity to these technologies and thinking through how to incorporate them into their business. It has also won us some recognition. And in 2019, the first year that we launched this program, the Smart Manufacturing Cluster of our region was identified with the highest award by the International Economic Development Council. And again, international meaning it's worldwide. This is where economic development organizations from across the globe come together. And we're so fortunate to be recognized. There's still a lot of work to do. Progress still needs to be made. It some days feels like we're crawling, other days we feel like we're doing pretty well. But this is going to be a 10 and 15-year journey that we're doing with the Smart Manufacturing Cluster and Additive Manufacturing Cluster. So with that, knowing that I'm up against time, I'm happy to take any questions.